Direct from the Coupe de Carp and streaming around the world on blasttheradio.com, Twitch TV, and Facebook Live. Engaging you in conversations about the hot topics of the day. The number to call is 613-413-2217. And now, the legendary Lowell Green, live on blasttheradio.com.
What was that song? Day Drinking?
Day
Is that what that's?
Drinking, yep.
Sounds like a hell of a great idea, to be honest.
Figured on a Friday, why not?
Oh, man. You know, I'd like to get vaccinated so that I could get out of this house. But and apparently, the only way I'm going to get vaccinated is if I rob a bank, because as we know, prisoners have all got their vaccination, or turn native. So I don't know. Like, how do I turn native? Can I go back and check my genealogy or something and see if there's any native blood in there? I don't know. Prisoners have already received their shot. Now they're vaccinating 50-year-old, perfectly healthy people strictly because of their race. Not because of risk or need. No, just because of their race. You know, it was bad enough. It was enough of a kick in the slats when we learned that 70-year-old Aboriginals and Métis and Inuit were being vaccinated. Now it's 50-year-olds getting their shots. Well, those of us who are much higher risk, we still, I guess we're still sucking wind here, or sucking something. I don't know. What a system. I know one of the things that drives me crazy here is I have tried to find out who's making these decisions, because I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think this idea that 50-year-old Indigenous people get their shots before anybody else, I don't think that's what's happening in other cities. I think that is strictly a decision made here in Ottawa. So if that is true, who the hell made this decision? Look, all along, we were told that Indigenous people, Inuit, Métis, in far northern reserves, isolated communities, etc., were going to get their shots first. I have no problem with that. I think that's a good idea. But now we're talking about 50-year-old, perfectly healthy, probably very well employed in the public service, Indigenous people here in the city of Ottawa, your neighbors. Why is my 50-year-old neighbor with a lovely job in the public service or teaching or whatever the hell they're doing, why does he get preference over me? Why have I got to wait months? I don't understand. It just, I mean, to me, it is just absolutely wrong. It's political correctness carried out now in the vaccine program. We have always been told, and it would make sense to me, that those in the highest risk areas should be vaccinated first. Sadly, we didn't pay close enough attention to that when it came to long-term care, and as a consequence, we have thousands of needless deaths. But finally, they smartened up, these health experts that I'm getting angrier and angrier at, I must tell you, every damn day. So finally, we've got almost everybody in long-term care now vaccinated, and as a consequence, the deaths have fallen way off. But why do you assume that a 50-year-old Indigenous person or even a Métis, why is he at a higher risk? He lives right next door to me, probably got a bigger house, bigger car, bigger snowmobile, got a bigger boat and all. I don't even have a boat anymore. Maybe why is he getting vaccinated and I can't? I can't even find out when I've got it. Please understand when I'm talking about me. I'm talking about all of us over the age of 80. And John, the mayor seems even confused on this, because what you were telling me that he's got something in his column. Yeah.
I mean, I've got him on my Facebook, and I saw this last night, and I'm like, I can't wait to tell Lowell. And I've read this to you twice. I've read it to myself about 5 times. It's really confusing. And of course, he compounds it by posting about 6 or 7 different graphics, cutting up some sort of document so that we can all see it. But anyway, here's what he says. This was posted 3 days ago. He says, starting today, residents who were born in or before 1941 or who are adult recipients of chronic home care and who live in the following communities attached are eligible to book an appointment to receive their vaccine through a pop-up clinic. I mean, it's not and, it's or. So starting today, residents who were born in or before 1941 or who are adult recipients, and then he lists the pop-up clinics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It sounds pretty clear to me that I think you'd be eligible according to what the mayor wrote.
Yeah, no, he's wrong. Those of us 80 plus, apparently we won't even learn when we can get ours for another 2 or 3 weeks. Right now, and I have no problem with this, they're vaccinating people age 90 and over.
Sure.
Plus, so here we have, once again, I don't want to dwell too long, but this is wrong. So here we have 50-year-old Indigenous people, perfectly healthy, not working in the healthcare field. I mean, it's not as if they're at high risk. They're at low risk, 50 years old, and in the same category as those who are 90 and older. They're the ones getting their vaccines today. If you're 50 and Indigenous, you get a vaccine. If you're 90 or older, you get the vaccine. The rest of us can just take a flying leap. That's the way it is. What a farce. What a farce. Now we have politically correct vaccinations. The left wing is, not content with outlawing, banning Dr. Seuss, Curious George, Pepe Le Pew, Huckleberry Finn, To Kill a Mockingbird, Mr. Potato Head, etc., etc. Not content with having all of those banned, those dangerous, dangerous things banned. Now the left is administering life-saving vaccines not on the basis of need or risk, but purely because of race. And of course, if you've already committed a crime, serious enough to get you into a federal prison, well, you got your shots as well. So 90 plus, 50 plus if you're Indigenous or in jail, you get your shots. Beautiful. What a system. Stop the world, I want to get off. By the way, I must tell you, I am taking bets. And you can bet in Bitcoin if you want. I don't understand. Do you understand Bitcoin, John? I don't understand that.
So you know what? I've got she's about, I guess, 31-year-old woman who's joining me on my morning show these days, and she tried to explain it to me because she understands it. My head is swimming trying to understand it. Haven't got the foggiest.
Anyway, I'm taking bets, Bitcoin or whatever you want, on who is the next dangerous character, book, or painting that's going to be banned. Now, I've got a few candidates. Rex Murphy. I love Rex Murphy. He thinks the next target is going to be Marge Simpson.
Why Marge?
Well, she's not too bright. Okay, and feminists hate her. They think that she's too stereotypical of your stereotype dumb broad. Okay,
I see. Okay.
So the feminist movement hates Marge Simpson. So I would think that her days are numbered. And I'm going to tell you something else, John and listeners. You ain't ever going to see the Lone Ranger in Tonto no more.
Oh,
okay?
No. Oh, no.
Can you imagine Kimosabe? No. Yes, Kimosabe. Get him up, Scout. No. The Lone Ranger and Tonto are finished, okay? Superman. I think Superman's days are numbered. I think the kryptonite here is going to be the left wing. Superman, let's face it, he's just filled with testosterone. These days, over-masculinity is not a good thing. Increasingly, we're dressing men in dresses and high heels and applying lipstick, and in the case of the Prime Minister, artificial eyebrows and dyeing our hair. So we're becoming more and more feminized, we male. So Superman, who is the stereotypical testosterone-filled male, I think he's soon going to be history as well. And Elmer Fudd. How long do you think they're going to allow Elmer Fudd? Now, Elmer Fudd has a gun. Now, they're going to take the gun away from him.
I thought they already had. I thought they already had.
Well, maybe they've already taken his gun away from him. I mean, there's no question Elmer Fudd with a gun, a very dangerous thing. But what really, really is wrong and must be banned about Elmer is his wascally wabbit. The lisp, very clearly, this is mocking people with a disability. We can't have that. Wascally wabbit? No, wait. What are you telling me about a television show that's
so Big Bang Theory, probably one of the biggest sitcoms ever, really. It had just wrapped up recently. They had
Don't ask me why, but anyway, go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay, but I mean, they had a character on there named Barry Kripke, and Barry Kripke talks a lot like Elmer Fudd. The actor in real life doesn't have that lisp, but on the show, Barry Kripke talks like this.
Oh God, is he still on? They still allow that?
The show's wrapped up, filming completely, but yeah, I mean, he's on in reruns. I've never heard anybody, of course, now they will, but I've never heard anybody complain about Barry Kripke.
Well, Wascally Wabbit is gone for sure. You can be sure of it. So I'm asking people, and John, you can tell people how to get in touch with us.
Of course.
And you know what? I would really like. We have a lot of people who almost every day write, etc. That's much appreciated. But gosh, it would sure be nice to get some new people on there. I know many people are watching and listening. Have a say. Who do you think will be the next cartoon character too dangerous to be allowed to continue? Or it doesn't have to be a cartoon character. Could be another book. Tom Sawyer. Now they've banned Huckleberry Finn in many places, and To Kill a Mockingbird. I think Tom Sawyer probably is next. Don't forget the bad guy on Tom Sawyer is Injun Joe. I don't think that's going to be around too much longer. I must tell you that I was very surprised. I watched for the first time in many, many years last night, Gone with the Wind, the movie. Beautiful movie, beautifully shot. But man, oh man, is it ever sympathetic to the Southern cause. It paints a very, very rosy picture of slavery. I'm surprised that people haven't picked up on that. One of the top actors, and I think she even won an Academy Award, was the nanny, who very clearly is in charge of the household where Scarlett O'Hara lives. And very clearly she's not being discriminated against. And then there is a scene, I thought a very revealing scene. Some of you may remember this. It's a group of workers out in the cotton fields picking cotton. And they look like they're having a really good time. It looks like a beautiful day. And one of the characters suddenly says, "Quitting time." And another character, black, obviously another slave, comes in and says, "Hey, I'm the foreman. I'll tell them when it's quitting time." Quitting time. Everybody laughs. All the slaves get up and they all laugh and they walk off and they're all chatting with each other, having a great old time. I don't think that's the way most cotton fields were being picked. Very, very sympathetic to slavery, and very sympathetic to the Southern cause. No question about that. So I just wonder, sometimes you really wonder, I mean, we allow this kind of portrayal of Southern slavery, painting this very, very attractive portrait of the slaves are really well looked after and really were happy people. But Pepe Le Pew is somehow, I mean, there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to any of this, John. None whatsoever. All right, John, give us, how would people get through to us?
Boy, oh boy, we just keep adding ways for people to get in touch. We'd love your calls. Above all, we'd love your calls. We've got a phone number here for you, 613-413-2217. You can text that line as well. You can follow Lowell on Facebook. You can follow the show on YouTube now and on Twitch. All the links, we've made it easy for you. Go to blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. But yes, we would love your calls at 613-413-2217. We do have some comments, Lowell, if you're ready for them.
Yes, sir.
Hazel says these are the same people that made decisions to spend $400 million on bike paths. McKenna.
Stupid. Thank you. Can I jump in here?
It's your show. Yes, you can.
I hadn't planned to talk about this, but good. Some people are paying attention out there. As you know, the premiers came to the prime minister just the other day saying, listen, we are desperately in need of more money. We're not talking about pandemic funds. The pandemic funds have been coming in. But we realize that when the pandemic is over, that there is going to be a need. We have an aging population. A lot of people have been weakened because of COVID, et cetera. So there are going to be a lot more requirements for health care. We need more money from the federal government. Trudeau said, I'm not your banker, and refused to increase by 1 cent the amount of money from the federal government going to the provinces, all provinces, for health care. But in the meantime, we've got millions of dollars for things like bike paths, $400 million for freaking bike paths, but no extra money for hospital care. For long-term, the premiers want more money for long-term care. And the prime minister absolutely turned them down. but then turn around and announce $400 million. And that's only one of the announcements being made. $400 million for freaking bike paths. Sacre bleu black, the bing bong bats. Go ahead, John. Sorry to interrupt there.
No, of course not. Anne says, this is all very depressing. Lisa says, how does my disabled 86-year-old mother wait in line for her shot? They're going to provide a wheelchair? Rick says, sorry, Lowell, everyone knows you are conservative. Trudeau has put you at the back of the line. Here you go. And we've got an email from Rob. He says, we were lied to. Rob Snow received a call on his show earlier this week from an Indigenous 34-year-old healthy male. He said he lives in Carleton Place, works in construction, and has no medical problems at all. He said he had his first vaccine 2 weeks ago and has an appointment in 2 weeks for a second shot. To add insult to injury, he said he did not even have to show his native ID card. He said anyone could have gone to the clinic, said they were Indigenous, and received a shot. Rob in Carleton Place.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that. But I mean, it's today, as I say, it's if you're 50 plus and Indigenous, but they don't even have to be like 100% native. Even Métis is like, what, 50% native or 20%? What's the justification? It's the vaccines. I mean, we're in desperate short supply here. People are dying by the thousands because they can't get vaccines. So it should be apportioned as to the need and the risk. The greater the risk, the sooner you should get a vaccine. Why is a 50-year-old Indigenous at risk? I mean, anyway, let's move on here. Yes, you have some more emails coming in?
I do, but I'd love for you to tell us about one of our sponsors.
Of course, Shields. Now, I'm going to get into this whole business about the Prime Minister, who may not be a cartoon character, but probably should be banned, at least by some of us. But and talking about Trudeau, I've told you before, and I think most people by now know that as of April 1st, up goes the carbon tax by 50%. It's going to add somewhere, they tell us, between 2 and 4 cents a liter for gasoline. It'll add, I'm not sure, but a considerable amount more money to heating gas, heating oil, propane, everything. So the cost of everything is going to go up, including the cost of appliances. In addition to the carbon tax on April 1st, the government rebate program for appliances ends the end of this month. So once again, I'm just alerting you to the fact, if you're in the need or even thinking of getting some new appliances, you need them or may need them shortly, don't leave it. Contact Shields, shields.ca. You'll see all of their product there, all the major brands in stock. You won't have to wait for delivery. And all the government rebates listed there, but those rebates end the end of this month. Shields.ca. Don't leave it, folks. Don't delay. Yes, John.
We'll get to the cartoon characters being named here in just a second. Arthur chimes in. He says, in Toronto, I've heard you have to fill out a form, but don't have to prove your age or anything of the sort.
Oh.
There you go. All right. So some of the cartoons that people are mentioning, these are, I
yeah,
guess,
I'd be interested to know, what cartoons do you think are going to be next?
Mike says Foghorn Leghorn.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Doesn't give a reason why, but I say, probably because he stutters. I say, boy. Dean says Superman is too gender specific.
They're very true, very true. Now, you know, I better not get into transgenderism, okay? I can get myself into enough trouble without transgenderism.
Yeah, don't.
Okay.
Terry says...
Any other nominations?
Oh, yeah. The horse of a different color from the Wizard of Oz, says Terry Toll. We aren't in Kansas anymore. Tweety Bird, says Anne. Why Tweety Bird? Oh, because Tweety Bird talks again with a bit of a...
Aha.
I taught, putty tat. Right? Bit of a lisp there, too. Yosemite Sam, says Lisa. He's,
Yosemite Sam.
So he's Bugs Bunny, red-haired guy. Why, you rascally rabbit? You know, he's got the gun shooting off.
You know, somebody mentioned the Wizard of Oz, and it springs to mind. Who is the character in the Wizard of Oz that doesn't have a brain? Is it the Straw Man?
The Straw Man without a brain. Yeah, Tin Man without a heart.
Okay, my understanding is that they're going to ban the Straw Man because it discriminates against people with no brain. You know what? You might as well laugh.
I mean, you have to. You have to. Anthony says Blazing Saddles is probably one of the next things to go.
Oh, yeah. No fart jokes. No.
Joshua says MASH shows the reality of war, and that could be next. There's a lot of sexism in MASH, too. I could see somebody going after that.
Yes, very true.
Yep. Terry adds, Pigpen from Charlie Brown. Too dirty. Where were his parents in the 60s, asks Terry.
Very true. There's a neglected child there. We can't make fun of that. All right, I have to move on. I have another topic, and we always run short of time here.
Sure.
Trudeau may not be a cartoon character, but it seems to me that he is at least as dangerous as Potato Head. You may disagree. We're looking with record debt, record unemployment, record slow vaccinations, all of this and more. But through it all, he continues to shine. Latest polls are out. 35% Liberal, headed by Trudeau, only 28% O'Toole. Now, Rob Snow, I was on Rob Snow's show this morning, as I am every Friday morning, and he asked a very interesting question. Lowell, how can this be with all of the scandals surrounding this prime minister, from blackface to groping to, Lavalin, et cetera? It just goes on and on and on and on. And now all of the big scandals concerning the military, et cetera. How can it be that O'Toole is 28 and the Liberals are 35? And if an election were held today, in all probability, the Liberals would win a majority government again. How can this be? I have a few ideas what's going on here. We've talked a little bit about this before, but it just seems to me that increasingly we Canadians are getting more and more willing to accept terrible scandals, terrible waste of money, incompetence, and worse. We saw this not just with this government, but we saw this with Kathleen Wynne. The terrible scandals that went on there, the corruption, the billions of dollars lost, the increased cost of electricity, driving business by the thousands out of the province. And yet, time and time again, people still voted for that. Now, it's been said, oh, well, the media always favors the Liberals, which it does for the most part. It's always anti-conservative. It's always been that way. But that's my point. Even with a negative media, we have been able to elect conservatives, Brian Mulroney, John Diefenbaker, and most recently, Stephen Harper. So what's gone on this time? We have never had a government this filled with corruption and scandal as the Liberals today. And yet they would win a majority government. What has happened? Is it strictly O'Toole? Is it the media, or is there something else going on here? Is it that we Canadians are increasingly prepared to put up with mediocrity? Very few people seem very concerned about we're about 45th nation now in the world to get vaccinated. Even though people are dying needlessly by the thousands, Canadians just don't seem all that concerned. Have we become totally apathetic?
Yeah, that stuns me.
It's quite amazing what's happening here. We didn't used to be like this. We were so proud. I can remember 1967 Expo, how proud we were. We wore, we stitched Canadian maple leafs on our backpacks as we toured through Europe. And I've gone through some personal stories about how proud we were. And now we just seem prepared to accept absolute corruption, scandal, and worst of all, I think, second, third, fourth rate. We are accepting mediocrity, and I don't know why. If anybody has any ideas, I'd sure love to hear it very much. Centennial Glass, no mediocrity with Centennial. Thank God through it all. There are still companies, Canadian companies, although I'm going to tell you, the number of Canadian companies, here's another problem. We have fewer and fewer Canadian companies left. Increasingly, they are being taken over by American companies, other international, Chinese, etc. That's another problem, and we Canadians don't seem prepared to fight that at all. I don't know. I'm worried. I don't know about you. But I want to get back to Centennial Glass. Here is a Canadian firm that not only has survived, but is prospering. They do very well. They're very, very, very reputable. Anybody that's done business with Centennial Glass knows you can trust them. The prices are very, very good. You compare them. But not only that, but they have great ideas. If you come in there with an idea and say, I'd like to put a patio door here, whatever, come to Centennial and they'll come up with some plans, some ideas for you. Centennial Glass, they're good people. Canadian. Let's not forget. Canadian and local. Fewer and fewer left, folks. Let's support them. John, you got some more emails coming in there?
We do, just accumulating them right now. Sharif says he left the Conservative Party after O'Toole became the leader. He doesn't say why. I have asked him, so I'm looking for a follow-up there. Rick says we traded a quiet, intelligent economic handler for a self-absorbed clown. The shame belongs to our media and clueless Canadians. And Peter, just seconds ago at Facebook, says silent majority about this and so many things in the last dozen years. Canadians put up with so much nonsense and control in our daily lives. If this was France, huge protests would be held. Go to a protest in Ottawa, and a few thousand show up.
You know, that's a very good point. You know, and not only, look at what's happening in Miramar now. People are prepared by the tens of thousands to turn out onto the streets. Even though they're being shot and killed, they care enough about democracy, about their own country, to even risk their lives in order to defend it. Boy, I don't see that kind of spirit in this country anymore, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what's happened here.
Do you think
Go ahead.
Do you think it has? I'm sorry. Do you think it has to do with our proximity to the States, and are we just now completely? I mean, there's a few of us who pay closer attention to politics than most, and I think you'd admit that you probably pay closer attention to politics than most. But for the average person, are they just consumed and they know so much more about the U.S. politics that they're not even paying attention to what's happening in Canada? Like our ranking for the vaccines, Lowell. If we ranked there in hockey, we'd be burning buildings down.
I wonder if we even care about that anymore.
Well,
that's a very good question. I think that's part of it, but I'm not sure whether people have just given up here. I'm not sure what's going on. One of the things that really concerns me is that, as we know, on a per capita basis, and I got to be careful here, on a per capita basis, we allow more newcomers than any other nation on earth. I'm worried that if you bring so many people in, then don't forget me. I mean, this is a nation of immigrants. I understand that,
of course,
but I'm just worried that maybe you bring in so many people who have no idea of the Canadian culture that it tends to sort of, I don't know, tilt things. I'm not sure. It was Margaret Thatcher who once said you can have a pond, but if you add a drop of ink in it, it doesn't matter. But if you drop in a cup of ink, you may pollute the whole pond. So I don't get me wrong. I welcome newcomers here, but it just seems to me that maybe we're not doing a good enough job in inculcating Canadian values and virtues in newcomers. Maybe that's the problem. But something is going on here that's not very healthy. Talking about the United States, one of the best examples of what I'm talking about here is the United States and vaccine. The United States now has administered almost 100 million vaccines. They are averaging 2.2 million vaccines a day in the United States. Folks, here in Canada, we haven't vaccinated 3 million people yet. In 3 months' time, we don't have 3 million vaccines out there. We now have in the United States better than 10% of people of the United States have received both shots. And about 30%, very soon to be 35, 40% of Americans will have received at least one shot. In the meantime, we will, and what they're saying is that by May, sometime in May, they will throw the country wide open. COVID will be pretty well licked. They're saying much the same thing in the UK. In Israel, it's already pretty well happened. Chile, it's amazing what's happening in Chile. Chile, on an average today, Chile is inoculating more people on average per day than any other nation right now. Where are they getting their vaccine? How can Chile get vaccines and Canada can't? Beats the hell out of me. What's going on here? But so in the meantime, by May, the United States hopes to be pretty well open. By May, we will be lucky if we have 10% of our population inoculated. But my point is, people don't seem to be concerned. They don't really. Some are, but many are not. Yes, John, more emails coming in here.
Yeah, and the lack of reaction is deafening. It really is. Anne says we can't even take an hour to vote. Lisa says, I've completely given up. Sharif follows up on his I've left the Conservative Party comment to say the guy is not conservative or liberal or representative of Canadian conservative
that kind
views.
of stuff just drives me crazy. You know, Sharif, so, all right, go ahead. I mean, if you know, without giving the guy, this is what really bugs me about some Canadians, like you, Sharif. Don't even give the guy a chance. Let's not even give him a chance. I don't like the look of his face. I don't like the way he wears his pants. I don't like the color of his shirt. So that's it. I'm finished with him. I mean, give the guy a chance, for God's sake. How can you just turn somebody down without even giving him a chance? He says, let me give it a try. It can't be any worse than what it is now. But then you've got people like, I don't like the cut of his jib. That's it. Finished. Okay. Support Trudeau. Go ahead. 4 more, 5 more, 6 more years, 8 more years. What the hell? Go ahead, John.
Just a couple more comments to wrap things up. Joshua says, we're too used to our way of life and too comfortable to think it can ever be threatened and taken away. David says, it's amazing what we put up with. I think the Conservatives don't think they can get elected unless they adapt the Liberals' policies and attitudes, but then people think we already have that, so
they're not adopting. You see, this is obviously the fault. Look, one of the things O'Toole has said is he's going to reestablish pipeline. He's going to build pipelines. He's going to cancel the gun legislation. He's going to toughen up crime legislation when it comes to smuggled guns, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, he's made a number of announcements in this regard, but people still say, oh, well, he's just how the hell can you compare Aaron O'Toole's policies with Justin Trudeau? I mean, not only that, but O'Toole, and people don't realize this, O'Toole says he's going to cancel the carbon tax. Meantime, folks, I hope you enjoy the increased carbon tax come April 1st. Sorry to be so down, but I mean, that's the way things are, right? Carbon tax, enjoy it, folks. It launches 50% increase as of April 1st. Keep voting Liberal. Thank you. We'll be back.
You've been listening to the legendary Lowell Green on blasttheradio.com. Connect with the show at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Find the podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, and more. Or ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green Podcast. Lowell is live weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on blasttheradio.com.